Call 1-888-FARMERS to switch, and you could save an average of $470 on your auto insurance. That's a lot of money in just a few minutes. With savings like that, you could be lounging on an impractical amount of ornate and overpriced throw pillows you bought for your couch. But you won't, because you're better with money than that. That's why you're calling us in the first place. Call 1-888-FARMERS to get a quote today.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Based on average nationwide annual savings survey data July to December 2020. Underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate. Products not available in every state.
Every gambler knows that the secret to surviving.
I don't wanna take advice from fools.
You always won every time you placed a bet.
Money, that's what I want.
Alrighty, welcome to the debut edition of the 2018-2019 Tailgate Party. I'm Joe Duffy of OffshoreInsiders.com, and we are going to be with you all football season long, giving you the best free information and a whole lot more. As you can see, I got my first NFL winner for tonight at OffshoreInsiders.com, plus 6 Major League Baseball winners, actually 5 of them for tonight, and that's all at OffshoreInsiders.com. Now let's take a look at those latest odds, and of course, as you know, MyBookie.ag, our preferred sports book. They currently have the line Baltimore 2 with a total of 35.5. And they, of course, give you a fantastic sign-up bonus if you mention promo code Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y. The weather for tonight, by the way, when we look at that side, it opened up as a pick, so obviously the money has been going towards the Ravens. It was as high as 2.5 a little bit earlier, but back down to 2. And the opening total was 34. As far as consensus is concerned, we do have a very solid consensus play so far on Baltimore, ranging anywhere from 61 to 80%. And it's a small but unanimous consensus play on the over. Now, what do we mean by small but unanimous? The reason we say that is because we use many different sources. We have offshore, we have Las Vegas, we even have some outlaw sources that we like to use. So we can, measure basically where the money is going everywhere. And all of our sources, whether they be offshore or in Vegas, are definitely leaning towards the over, but there is nothing all that overwhelming. By the way, I know, our volume will continue to increase. This is, of course, just the Hall of Fame game, and during the regular season we'll have a lot more live viewers. If you are watching this, regardless of where you're watching, and if you're doing it live, can you even just send a text message, say hi? The reason I say that is because last year we used to do it only on Facebook. This year we're simulcast, and we're broadcasting live simultaneously on Periscope, YouTube, Facebook, and then a couple, other around the world. And the software that we use is fantastic, but they're always improving it, so there's always something that's in beta. So if you can at least just send me a message and tell me where you're actually watching this. If I am ignoring any questions that you ask, or if it looks like I'm ignoring, I assure you that I am not ignoring your messages whatsoever. It's just simply a case of, I still got to figure out some of these new features, and hopefully they are working right, but my understanding is I should be able to get your messages. The Bears, of course, are breaking in a new offense with head coach Matt Nagy. Now, does that mean that they'll maybe have a little bit less of a vanilla scheme? As a general rule of thumb, we find that over the years, teams that are breaking in the new offenses or even new defensive schemes, that they're going to tend to be much less vanilla. And that's really good that, for example, that theory would say that the advantage would be to Chicago's offense. But it's also pretty complex, and quite frankly, they've got to figure out a way to learn this during the preseason. It is a 5-game preseason for both of these teams, but look for Chicago maybe to be less vanilla than teams normally are, especially in the preseason game. Second-year starter Mitch Trubisky looks like he's likely going to sit out, which is a mild surprise because he's not exactly a veteran, and he's learning the new offense as well, so you figured they would give him a limited playbook, but now reports are saying that he's likely going to sit out. No surprise, but confirmed, Bears starting running back Jordan Hayward is among those out. He had 1,122 rushing yards last year. Joe Flacco, the Ravens starting quarterback, is also expected to sit out Ravens head coach John Harbaugh always has done well in the preseason, 27-13 against the spread. And like I said, if you are watching us live, please even just send a text message. Say hi. Tell me where you're watching us. Are you watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or even one of those? We have a couple around the world that are popular outside the United States that we're using. I do want to test and just make sure that some of the beta stuff I can read your messages, and I'll be happy. Certainly during the regular season, we get a lot more questions as far as, about this game and that game. We only got the one game tonight, but even just say a test message saying hi would be appreciated. So that way, by the time the regular season goes here, we'll know all the features. We'll be able to use all the features on this really groovy software. May have my ugly face pop up every once in a while. All right, well, that's interesting. Jim, I did see your message there on Facebook, but on a different screen. So let me just check one thing, press this one button out. I do appreciate that message that you did. Let's see. I don't know. We're gonna have to test out this software as far as making sure that I can always see these messages. So maybe if you are sending me a message via a Periscope or YouTube, I may not be able to read it. So, please, folks, if I'm not responding, it's not because I'm ignoring you. But anyway, thank you for those of you who have responded. Both teams very weak on the offensive line. Now, it's been a general rule of thumb. Well, we'll get that in a moment. Well, let's talk about the coaches. It's been a general belief that coaches coaching in their first game are going to be a lot more motivated. They kind of want to really get that first win under their belt. And of course, that would strongly point towards Chicago, but that's balanced out by the fact that we told you that Harbaugh, and I apologize if I ever say Jim, I even saw a major website called him Jim, but John Harbaugh clearly does take the regular season or the preseason pretty seriously based on that 27-13 record. But based on the theory of a lot of people, the advantage would be to Chicago. You would think that Coach Nagy, not only coaching in his first game at the Bears, but his first game at any single level, maybe he is a little bit more motivated in this contest. Rookie Lamar Jackson and Robert Griffin expected to get most of the playing time for Baltimore. Now, this is a case where they're not bringing along Lamar all that quickly. Flacco is expected to be the opening day starter, but I think it's pretty clear Harbaugh would love Jackson to really push Flacco for the starting job, and the sooner the better. RG3, normally I say one of the single biggest myths in sports is, or really when it comes to preseason handicapping, one of the single biggest myths is people who like to go with teams that have backup quarterbacks with a lot of starting experience. Quite frankly, more times than not, that's actually a big mistake. The truth is, if a guy is a backup quarterback who is one time a starter, there's a reason. He's pretty much set in, his position. We know that RG3, the only way he's going to start is because of some injuries. But this might be a little bit different in that he sat out last year. You could see how he might come, mentally and physically rested, might come out with new life. As a general rule of thumb, as I said, going with teams with experienced quarterbacks as a backup and a third stringer is one of the traps that gamblers fall into. That's usually quite the opposite. You want to go with a team with a bunch of young quarterbacks who are really hungry, playing it with kind of a regular season and even a playoff attitude. But like I said, I do think that this could be a little bit different in the case of RG3, where you could see how he would kind of use this as a little bit new life and feel he's got something to prove. Chase Daniels, probably the starting quarterback for Chicago, a journeyman, one of these guys who's been paid a lot of money to sit on the bench. He's maybe kind of the modern poster child of someone who's spent a lot of games in uniform but hasn't thrown a ton of passes. Both teams are very weak on the offensive line. And keep in mind, early in the preseason, especially in week 0, as we like to call it, the Hall of Fame game, teams are going to go deep. They'll often go to their fourth string. And both of these teams are very weak on the offensive line. So that, in and of itself, may say a little bit of a good play towards the under. And remember, the Bears, at least when it comes to their starters, are pretty solidified from last year. So most of their battles will be for, second and third string at the defensive position. But the Bears are fairly solid at defense. Wide receiver Anthony Miller having a great training camp, second rounder, evolving into a deep threat. So keep an eye on that tonight. I think the Bears, there's no question they're going to try to throw downfield a lot more this year. And Anthony Miller is a speed demon, and look for them to really test his speed tonight. Former Oregon Ducks head coach Mark Helfrich, he is Chicago's offensive coordinator. So really throw out all the perceptions of last year. I do think in the regular season, the Bears could kind of sneak under the radar, their offense. Not so much in the preseason, but they'll probably catch some teams off guard early. They're going to be much more wide open offense than they have in previous years. Yeah, the odds makers aren't stupid, so it's not going to be easy money. That's for sure. But just keep that in mind when the regular season gets here. Ravens tight end, they're pretty thin. Hayden Hurt and Mark Andrews both doubtful, so they're probably thin at tight ends. And likely without their top two running backs, which again, no surprise in the Hall of Fame game or even in the first official week of preseason. Next week, Alex Collins and Kenneth Dixon will not play. Now, 9 of the 16 Hall of Fame games have seen 30 points or fewer. 9 of the last 16, all of them this century. 9 of them this century have seen 30 or fewer points scored, including 4 of the last 6. Well, if you do like this information, look, how often are we going to do this during the regular season? We're committed to NFL Sundays, and we're going to do some preseason stuff, depending on the interest. If you like this free information, if you want to do it for us on Saturdays, we most definitely will. Help us out. Wherever you're watching, if you're watching on Periscope, give us a heart. If you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook, give us a like. Please share it. If you got a website, embed it on the website. Retweet it. Feel free to comment. Like I said, it looks like the comments section is a little bit imperfect. I'll have to do some research, but again, I know it's kind of new on the software, but we should be able to get comments, regardless of where you're sending it from, and maybe I gotta, read exactly how it's supposed to appear on my screen. Let me just click this button and see if I've missed. Yeah, I click here to view comments. I don't know. I do say I've gotten comments when I look at individual computers, but that part we'll continue to research. And hey, let me know if you want to see my face on the screen before the year's out. One of the things may or may not really be all that important to you, but they're talking about finally adding a green screen feature. We do have that, so maybe I'll put my pretty face on during the regular season. But show your support. Most importantly, like I said, we are sponsored by mybookie.ag. You will always get paid on time. They always pay on time. I've literally just surpassed my 30th anniversary in the industry. I am not going to throw that reputation I've built down the toilet by sending you to a sports book that doesn't pay you on time. MyBookie.ag never had one complaint about them. And I know about some of the principals there since before MyBookie.ag existed. Some people from other reputable sports books formed MyBookie.ag. So please use them and show your support for this free information by using the promo code Duffy, D-U-F-F-Y. And like I said, most importantly, visit offshoreinsiders.com so you can get the free, not the free, but you can get the best premium picks for tonight. Joe Duffy's picks, we've got the side there. And you want the total, we got the total Joe Duffy's picks. Stevie Vincent has the side. Sorry, multitasking here. Just playing a little bit with this new software. But yeah, I've got the total. Stevie Vincent, the Master Lock Line, each have the side. Plenty of baseball stuff as well at offshoreinsiders.com. Thanks for watching. And again, those of you who are watching the replay, which we find out even in the past is a little bit more than 50% of you, probably a higher percentage now that, it's our first broadcast of the year. Please remember to join us on, go to Facebook, look at offshoreinsiders.com sports betting picks. That's kind of our anchor since we did do Facebook Lives in the past, but subscribe to us at Twitter at Offshore Insider, where, of course, you'll be able to get the Periscope broadcast, etc. But thanks for joining us, and we will talk to you next week at 5 Eastern Time, next Thursday, right? It will be the next preseason, the first full night of preseason football next Thursday, 5 o'clock Eastern Time, and how often we'll do it during the regular season depends on how many likes we get, comments, etc. But at the very, very least, every Sunday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Time during the regular season.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, banking with Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. Kind of like choosing Charles Barkley in a pickup game.
We'll take Barkley.
Ha! First pick. Sorry, kids.
Yep, even easier than that. And with our top-rated app, you can bank anytime, anywhere, making Capital One an even easier decision.
Okay, here's the plan. Pass me the ball every time.
This is banking reimagined. What's in your wallet?
New consumer accounts only. Approval required. Terms apply. Capital One NA, member FDIC.